Mark Rogers TV with you once again. Just a few days before Super Bowl 45, we have chosen our top 10 Super Bowl quarterbacks of all time. Now today we look at the running back position and choose just 5. Good reason for this. Quarterbacks have a long shelf life in the NFL, at least the great ones do. But at the running back position, they get battered and bruised, and even the great ones usually only have a shelf life of about 4 to 5 years at that high level. Okay, here we go. Our 5th selection, San Francisco's Roger Craig, a guy who not only rushed effectively out of the backfield but caught passes in the flat and did it for Bill Walsh's West Coast offense to perfection. A modern-day Chuck Foreman of the 1970s, or Lenny Moore even going back to the old Baltimore Colts of the 1950s. Again, the modern-day back who not only rushes out of the backfield but catches passes. And Craig did it in 100-yard form, not as a rusher, but as a receiver in one Super Bowl. He averaged about 70 yards rushing and receiving in those 3 Super Bowl games and caught for 4 touchdowns. At number 4, we've got Franco Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. In 1975, the Steelers won their first Super Bowl thanks to Franco's record 34 carries and record 158 yards rushing. Pittsburgh's first Super Bowl championship, first NFL championship. Harris performed in 3 other Super Bowl wins, not to that level as a rusher, running for 82, 68, and 44 yards, but he scored a total of 4 touchdowns, and he also caught passes for 124 yards in those other 3 Super Bowl wins. Franco at number 4. Number 3, Larry Csonka, Miami Dolphins. 40 yards rushing in that first Super Bowl loss to Dallas, and then Csonka carried Miami's rushing attack to 2 Super Bowl wins, including that undefeated team, 17-0, defeating the Redskins in 1973, and then Csonka's stellar performance in the 74 game against Minnesota, where the Dolphins won 24-7. Csonka, 145 yards rushing. That was a Super Bowl record 1 year before Harris broke it, and 33 carries. That also a record. So Larry Csonka at number 3 with 2 Super Bowl rushing performance for wins, in which his quarterback threw, get this, Bob Greasy, 19 passes in 2 Super Bowl wins. So it was all the rushing game for Miami. It was all Larry Csonka. At number 2, Emmitt Smith, another workhorse. 108 yards in Dallas's first Super Bowl win of the 90s against Buffalo. And then he came back the next year, and this is where Emmitt really proved his worth. Dallas was down 13-6 at halftime, and they came out and they gave Emmitt the ball every play of a touchdown drive. He racked up 132 yards rushing as Dallas came back to win that game 30-13. So Emmitt with 2 100-yard rushing games in the Super Bowl, and even on his down year against Pittsburgh in that 3rd Super Bowl win, in which he just ran for 49 yards, he did run for 2 critical 4th quarter touchdown runs as Dallas held off the Steelers 27-17. Number 1, he played in 2 Super Bowls. He won them both, and he was very effective in both games. Terrell Davis, Denver Broncos. John Elway struggled in that first Super Bowl win of the 1990s against the Green Bay Packers. Terrell Davis was a man. 157 yards rushing as Denver pulled the upset against Green Bay. And then the next year, that was John Elway's game as he won the MVP, but Terrell supported him well with 102 yards rushing in the Broncos' win against the Atlanta Falcons. There you go, the top 5 Super Bowl running backs of all time. At number 5, it's Roger Craig, San Francisco. Number 4, Franco Harris of those great Pittsburgh Steelers teams of the 1970s. Larry Csonka and those undefeated Dolphins in 72 as Csonka rushed for 100 yards in back-to-back Super Bowl wins. At number 2, Emmitt Smith. He had 2 100-yard performances as well. And Terrell Davis at number 1 for the Denver Broncos. Let the debate begin on Mark Rogers TV.